Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. We'll get started. My name is Davina, and I, along with my colleagues, are delighted to welcome you to this month's community talk. It is our last one for this OFIS year, and it's hosted by Our Future is Science. This series is a part of our mentorship and scholars program of Our Future is Science, and we're so happy to welcome the public as Zoom allows us to democratize these programs. OFIS is an initiative of the Aspen Institute Science and Society Program, an organization we are committed to sparking curiosity, passion, and confidence about STEM and young people to push science forward in the 21st century in order to solve society's most pressing issues. We are generously supported by the Amgen Foundation, the Samueli Foundation, a Burroughs Welcome Fund, 3M, and the Carson Family Charitable Trust. Without these funders, none of this would be possible, so we gladly thank them. The Community Talk series is a platform to expose individuals to diverse careers, as well as information, insights, and perspectives on the intersections of STEAM disciplines and social justice issues. Now we'll get on to tonight's talk. We are so excited to welcome our speakers from the Truth Initiative, and they will focus on social media and how it can be a tool for activism. So I'll just quickly introduce our speakers and then we'll get started. So tonight we will have a talk by Colby Nelson, Caroline Bennett, and Mattie Harris. Give us a wave, thank you. Just a quick introduction about all of our speakers. Colby Nelson is currently a digital marketing specialist at the Truth Initiative. As a digital specialist, Colby is responsible for managing Truth's social media platforms, as well as helping formulate ideas for the Truth Initiative creative campaigns, along with members of the creative team. When Colby isn't working to create first tobacco-free generation, he can be found playing basketball, collecting sneakers, or somewhere cheering on LeBron James. Go Lakers. Colby received a degree of Bachelor's of Arts in Media and Communication Studies from the University of Maryland in Baltimore County. So welcome, Colby. Next, we have Caroline Bennett. Caroline is currently the Senior Specialist of Activism and Outreach at the Truth Initiative. As a senior specialist, she is responsible for youth engagement in the Truth's activism campaigns, digital tools for CAE programs, and managing CAE's local work in DC. When Caroline isn't working to create the first tobacco-free generation, she can be found cuddling with her 2 cats, I love cats, enjoying a spin or yoga class, going for long walks around DC, or cooking something delicious in her kitchen. Caroline received a bachelor's degree in psychology and public health from George Washington University and will finish her master's in public health at GW in the spring. And last but not least, we have Mattie Harris. She is from Louisiana, and she's actually in her final semester of her master's program for social work at Boston College. She practiced Afrocentric social work and focuses on policy in organizations. Mattie has centered her life, and her mantra is service through action. Her work is public health, environmental racism, reproductive justice, mass incarceration, and she is also committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. She also has contributed to the well-being and advancement of communities nationwide. Mattie began her work with the Truth Initiative in November of 2022 and has since served as a trainee and Truth Initiative ambassador for the organization. Mattie studied ways to engage with community members in an approach that addresses the whole person and used collective action as an intersectional framework to advance policies and practices to create a just, equitable, and favorable environment for underserved populations. So our speakers have done a lot, and we're very grateful to have them here tonight. And without further ado, I'll hand it off to Caroline as she gets us started with tonight's talk.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Davina, for those great intros. It's always a little funny to hear your bio read aloud by someone else in front of you, but that was a great job. Speaking about who we are, and we're so excited to be here with all of you tonight to just share a very quick overview of some of the things that myself, Colby, and Mattie do in our lives and in our jobs on a day-to-day basis. So this session, I'm hopeful, will give you all just a preview of what this topic and this work can look like in professional spaces and in activism spaces. But just want to say at the top that we're also all here as resources for you all going forward, because there's no way we could cover all of this in an hour. But with that, we will jump right in. Colby, if you want to go to the next slide. First, I just want to say a few quick things about who we are as an organization. So, in case you aren't familiar, Truth Initiative is the largest national nonprofit public health organization focused on reducing the impact of tobacco and nicotine in our culture in the United States. And so that looks a lot of different ways. We, of course, have the Truth Campaign, which some of you might be familiar with. That is the work that Colby does, and he's going to speak to that a little bit. But that is kind of the way we are out there, most prominently in the public eye, certainly most prominently on social media. And that is really aimed at both prevention of smoking, vaping, nicotine use of any kind, and also cessation, which essentially is just the process of anybody quitting smoking or use of any tobacco product. And so we are really here as a support for anyone who is looking to quit, and that is really important to us organizationally. We also do community and youth facing programs throughout the country. So if you heard that CAE word, that stands for community and youth engagement, and that is my work. As well as Mattie's, and that is really where we bring the Truth brand to life in communities and with young people across the country. And then we also have a really, really strong research component to our work, and we run our own quitting smoking programs in-house as well. So all of those things come together to form the various ways that Truth shows up across the country. And specifically today, we're going to dive in on this activism and digital strategies piece. But just to overview of who we are, and we can go on to the next slide. So you might be wondering, I'm sure throughout this program and all of the other community talks that you may have attended this year, or even just in your daily lives, there are a lot of different issues out there under the STEM and social justice and related umbrellas. And I think for a lot of people, sometimes when you start to hear us talk about tobacco and vaping, you're like, well, isn't that, over as an issue? Haven't we kind of tackled tobacco already? And unfortunately, the answer is no. And so I just want to just take a moment to explain a little bit about where we are overall from a data standpoint on this issue and why it really is still important. So as you can see here on this slide, unfortunately, tobacco use is still very prominent among young audiences, particularly with the rise of e-cigarettes and other smokeless tobacco products. So think less cigarettes, more things like Juul, things like pouches, other tobacco products that may be out there. We have seen those really rise in prominence, unfortunately, over the last several years, in large part due to a very, very powerful marketing machine that is the tobacco industry. And they have done an unfortunately very effective job of getting their products in front of young people. And one of the examples of that is that we see that there are many different flavored tobacco products that are out there that we know are really created to addict young people to a product that they otherwise would have never started with these youth appealing flavors. And so that is a really big issue. And then we, of course, see across the board when we talk about the ways that people become addicted to tobacco and to nicotine, the majority of people who smoke cigarettes as adults have started when they were under 18. And so we know that this younger demographic is a really critical time to get in front of people with prevention messaging and also to help people quit before it's too late and they are kind of trapped in this life cycle of addiction. So that is really what we aim to do at Truth and with our partners. Just to share a little bit of some of the popular brands out there that you may see. I'm curious if these resonate with you guys. Just knowing that we've got a group from kind of all over here. But right now, the most popular e-cigarette brands, according to the data, so some of this can be a little bit lagging behind what we actually see, but we are seeing a lot of Elf Bar, Escobars, Views, Juul, and Mr. Fogg. A lot of those things are disposable e-cigarette products. And so those are really hard to regulate, unfortunately. And so we've seen those really take hold in young people. And again, with the industry really being front and center there and how they're marketing these products to young people. The last thing I'll mention before I pass it on to Colby is really just to root us in the health impacts of vaping and tobacco. Of course, we can talk about tobacco and vaping as an issue broadly, and the targeted marketing of the industry is all horrible, and these prevalence rates are of course really alarming. But ultimately what this boils down to, and kind of the so what of all of this, is these health effects of vaping and tobacco. And so we know that tobacco use of any kind is linked to increased risk of a lot of different chronic diseases, including cardiovascular diseases, various cancers, and other long-term effects. And then there are also some short-term effects that we see in both smokeless and combustible cigarette products, where people are just not feeling so great after they use some of these products. And then we also have this very large body of emerging research around mental health and nicotine. And we have seen that vaping, specifically nicotine, does or can increase feelings of stress and anxiety, which we know is very unfortunate and plays on this growing mental health crisis among young people in the US today. And so all of this is to say, we do still see, unfortunately, that this is a big issue. And we are here not only to give people the tools that they need to quit and also to educate from a prevention standpoint, but then what you're going to hear about tonight is really how are we taking this as a social justice issue and creating a movement around being anti-tobacco, creating the first smoke-free generation, and making that a compelling thing for people to get involved in. So that is just a very high-level overview. And then I'm going to hand it over to Colby to talk about social media and what this looks like from a brand standpoint and a whole bunch of other things. So Colby, over to you.
Yeah, man, let's talk social media, the good stuff, the fun stuff. Davina, you did a great job introducing me. I don't even feel like I need to introduce myself, but I'm gonna do it anyway. What's up, everybody? I'm Colby Nelson. First off, appreciate you guys for allowing me to be here. I'm the digital marketing specialist at Truth, responsible for managing all of our social platforms and just helping formulate ideas for Truth's creative campaigns. So I'm really in the know of how we use social media in order to reach young audiences. I've been at Truth for about 3 years now. Graduated from University of Maryland, Baltimore County with a media and communications degree. I am from Baltimore. A huge Ravens fan. I love Lamar Jackson. And some other things about myself. I love the history of sneakers. I actually have a social media platform where I talk about the history of sneakers and how it's connected to sports and culture. Really a passion of mine. And then, like Davina said, huge Lakers fan, huge LeBron fan. So any LeBron and Lamar Jackson slander, do not talk to me about it. But just to transition and talk about our platform strategy, we have 3 platforms that we primarily focus on: TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And the approach is different between all 3 platforms. TikTok, we really post 3 times a week with a paid media strategy of boosting 2 to 3 top performing posts every 2 weeks. And these are posts that may have had the highest engagement rates or the highest engagements, as well as posts that just resonated a lot with our audience when they're responding to us in the comments. So we usually boost these and put paid media behind this so it can reach a much larger audience. And the TikTok content that we post is primarily having to do with quitting tips to help people quit nicotine, interacting with different trends that are really popular in social spaces, and also just long form explainer videos highlighting different tobacco related subjects and just educating our audience on them. And then for Instagram, we post a lot of timely content, and that's really content that's based on trending tobacco related news and stories, and just news articles that we'll repurpose and post as static images on Instagram, as well as posting activism related events that we cover with our partnered activists at Truth. And then on YouTube, if you go to our YouTube, that's really timely content based on or based around our Truth campaign. So if you go to our YouTube, you'd really see a lot of our campaign ads. That's where we house a lot of that content. To shift over to our content pillars, we have 3 content pillars that definitely need some clarification. We have aha moment, quitting buddy, and the imperfect journey. And when we look at aha moment, that's where we're really testing what moves people towards quitting, what really inspires people to even want to quit. So here we're showing the signs of tobacco use disorder, tobacco use addiction, sharing new products and new forms of addiction, such as Zen. A lot of people don't know too much about it, so we're there to like educate them on these new products, and also really highlighting the different industry tactics that the big tobacco uses to target marginalized communities. And then next we have Quitting Buddy, and that's where we're really testing product messaging and people's appetite for quitting help. And this is where we're bringing a lot of tips and tools to help make it possible for people to reduce or just completely stop using nicotine in general, sharing different tips of distractions that people can use to distract them when they're feeling withdrawal symptoms or like they're craving nicotine. So really just sharing quitting tips. And then also showcasing real stories from real people quitting nicotine, because when you're seeing somebody who's going through the same journey as you, it really resonates you and you feel supported. You have something to relate to. For the imperfect journey, that's where we're really testing what barriers people face when starting to quit. So how to even prepare to quit, where do I begin? Sharing, what's happening to your body scientifically when you're trying to quit or going through the quitting process. And then also just demystifying a lot of barriers and failures within the quitting process. A lot of people, they fail and they relapse and they feel like it's the end of the world, but we're just trying to normalize the fact that that's just part of the process, and it's a step towards getting to where you want to be. So failing is all part of the process. It's okay. And then lastly, just inspiring people to continue to quit. Sharing real testimonials from people who've used our Truth Quit program, such as X and TIQ, which is short for This Is Quitting. And This Is Quitting is actually a text-based service that people can sign up for, and they can receive tips and just guidance and reminders throughout their journey just to keep them on track. And one thing I did want to share with you guys, we had a February Pulse campaign. Just before I start, I did not create this, but I did want to share it with you guys. And for the month of February, which everybody knows is a month of love, we had a campaign that was focused on the impacts that smoking can have on your body. And one of these impacts is, believe it or not, it can increase the risk of erectile dysfunction, also known as NICDIC. And to spread this message, we actually partnered with 6 influencers who are either trusted professionals in the sex ed field or content creators that typically discuss sexual positive topics with their audiences. These were the 6 individuals that we partnered with. And just some results that we saw from this, we received a lot more comments of people reconsidering the harmful effects of nicotine use and really taking it more serious, thinking twice about it, even thinking 3 times about it. And we really did this so that we can just raise awareness for a topic that young people care about and that young people should care about. And our goal was really just to normalize this idea of Nick Dick, similar to, the idea of whiskey dick. Everybody knows that term. We were trying to do the same thing with Nick Dick and get people to think about the harmful effects of nicotine. And just really quickly, I'm going to show one of the videos that one of our partners created.
You're on Nick. Smoking can increase the risk of erectile dysfunction. This means your vape could be the reason why you can't stay or get hard during sex. We all want to have a sexy time this snuggle season, so just mate and drop the vape. Tag all your homies so they don't have Nick. Bye.
So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I don't use nicotine, but if I did, that would probably make me think a little bit more about that.
You're on Nick.
And then for the transition, we have quitter support. And over the past few years, it's been a trend for a lot of people who are quitting nicotine to go on TikTok and showcase their story, share their journey, their daily journey, keeping up with their progress, not only to like encourage other people to start quitting as well and take their health more serious, but also just to inspire people and just to bring people into that space and promote their stories. And with quitting support, we created these ditch kits where we offer young people who are quitting vaping and just showcasing their story. And each ditch kit item is actually inspired by what real quitters say have actually helped them ditch nicotine. The kit includes a t-shirt, a fidget cube, an aromatherapy roller, flavored toothpicks, temporary tattoos, as well as a insert card with information on This Is Quitting, as well as an opt-in keyword so that people can sign up. And we partner with Emily Maza, who's a TikTok influencer with high engagement quitting content, so that she could create content speaking to her experience of quitting and sharing TIQ as a resource. And viewers were actually able to follow her call to action, so that they can sign up for This Is Quitting. And we saw a lot of success by this, because working with Emily, we were able to be integrated within her audience and build a relationship with her audience. And it was a really good experience. And it's just one of the many examples of how we've used influencers in order to reach younger audiences. And I just have another short clip that I'm gonna play. We don't have to watch the full thing, but this is her unboxing one of the ditch kits.
Watch me unbox my limited edition ditch kit from True. This kit is designed to help support and encourage new quitters, and I made 300 of them to give to you guys. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Stop, it's so cute. Okay, inside, first there's a journal. This is meant to help keep you focused, get you to write your stuff down, help you reflect on why you feel like you need to quit. And next is a breathing trainer necklace. This is meant to help with breath work and also act as like a mouth stimulant when you're quitting. It basically feels like the same sensation, but without the inhalation of vaporizer, obviously. It has these adorable little temporary tattoos with like cute little messages on them. Like this one says self-love, remember your why, adorable. This adorable little water bottle with a straw so that you can take sips instead of hitting a vape. Adorable. Also, like, look how cute that is. And then this limited edition hoodie that's only available with this kit. Okay, I'm gonna show you how cute it is. It says Anti-Conformist Conformist Club, which is so cute. The color's adorable. And then the back looks like the water bottle. All these items were designed by using what people were saying helped them the most frequently when quitting. Tools like these are so helpful because they just keep you on track. They make you feel cute about it. They're encouraging, adorable. Only giving away 300 of these boxes. And the only way to get it is to click on my link in my bio, submit the form that's there. Okay, it's really easy and they're really adorable. So why don't you just go ahead and do it? And even if you can't get a box, anyone can sign up for This Is Quitting. And This Is Quitting is just a texting program where they help encourage you to stay on your journey quitting. A program that's offered 24/7, and all you have to do is text Join Emily to 88709. Click on my link in my bio now and go get yourself a free ditch kit. Love you so much. Tag me in the videos of you guys getting them. This is so exciting.
So really cool stuff. Always great experiences when we're partnering with influencers and just building a relationship with their audience. But with that being said, I'm gonna kick it over to Caroline.
Watch me unbox my limited edition.
Amazing. Okay, thank you, Colby. So I want to just transition us to this next section. So everything that Colby just shared is really what we see as like the epitome of what the Truth brand is. And for us, when we think about activism, that is one of the most powerful tools we have, right? We know that people recognize truth, people know what we're all about out there in the world. And so really the crux of my work is how are we leveraging that in our activism and community organizing work, which is specifically working toward policy change on this issue. But before I get into all of that, just to reiterate everything that was shared about me and my background at the beginning, I have been at Truth for also a little bit less than 3 years. I've been in this work for a little bit longer. I came here from another organization that also does like tobacco advocacy work. And I've been in public health in various spaces my whole career. I started out doing global health work. And then as was mentioned, I'm currently also getting ready to graduate with my MPH in May. So I am with all of you who are in school and we're almost there. And I'm really, really excited to be done with that. But just to say also a couple of other things, I love to run, I love to cook, I love my cats, as was mentioned earlier. And I just really love to explore DC. I love a good hot girl walk. I love to just like plug in a podcast and vibe outside. But that is me. And again, my work really is bringing this idea of digital engagement strategies into our community and youth facing programs, which is what I'm going to talk about in a sec. So we can go on to the next slide. So at Truth, like I have started to preview, in addition to, the Truth campaign and all of the awesome stuff that Colby's team is doing, and through doing that work, we've learned a lot of lessons along the way about how to use digital strategies well in order to reach the audience that we want to reach, which in our case is youth and young adults who care about this issue in one way or another and want to be healthy, want their peers to be healthy, etc. And so in my work, and you'll hear a little bit more about this in like really fabulous examples when Mattie discusses her work, so I will keep this brief, but we use these tools to recruit activists to join us in taking action, specifically toward policymakers and decision makers, and also to their communities. And we also use digital tools to train people on this cause, to do that educational messaging that Colby was mentioning on a broader scale, and then also to give them skills in activism and organizing so that they can make a change in their own community. We also, much in the same way as you just heard some of that really clear and pointed messaging about the health effects of tobacco, we also use social media to share really clear policy goals and priorities from the activism side of our work. And also we use digital tools to actually reach decision makers directly. And I'll go into that in a more kind of detailed way in a second. We also, and I think this is like really, really greatly coupled with the work that Colby's team does, we share personal stories on social media all the time. I think in activism, that is one of our most powerful tools. Most often when somebody is deciding to get involved in a specific social cause, it is the story of the person who recruits them that really gets them excited and gets them in the door. So we bring that to scale through social media and also various other avenues. We also love to document our in-person programming online, and that is really the work of my team. So we have these other programs around the country that are out doing like really cool traditional community organizing stuff in person and in communities. And my work is how do we memorialize that online to broaden our impact and to tell that story, which we can have forever, and that lives on beyond the life cycle of a specific event or a specific training. So we do that as well. And then we also use online tools to celebrate our wins. I think much like the importance of celebrating progress on quitting vaping, it's also really important to celebrate progress when you're working on policy change issues. A lot of times these things that we want to see from the powers that be it's a long road and it's not always linear with the progress that we make. So it's really important to celebrate the wins along the way. And we use social media as well as email and other organizing tools online to just keep our base updated about the progress that we are making and make sure that they are bought into that journey along the way. We can move on to the next slide. Oh, and actually back on that last slide, sorry if you can go back. These are some photos from some past events that we've done in the recent past. That photo on the left is one of our activists with somebody from the Department of Health and Human Services. So that is just an example of the type of decision maker engagements that we do. And then the photo on the right is from a collaboration that we did with Truth, the brand, and in one of our big annual moments of action. So just want to shout that out and then we can move on. Thank you. Sorry. So to summarize, and I think this is something too that Colby mentioned, but just to make it specific, I think the nature of working in online spaces is that our work changes all the time. And so due to just being in, the year 2024 and with the internet being the way that it is, we are evaluating what specific tools we use constantly. And so in activism in the past, what this has looked like is, email. We still use email, but not quite as much. We have seen, I think, a bit of a drop off in the ways that people are engaging with us over email. And so we've shifted focus to some other mechanisms. We used to tweet, RIP. We don't really do that anymore because of the Twitter platform's changes. We also used to do things like more traditional phone scripts, giving people scripts to call decision makers with specific requests, etc. And so over time, as we have moved past some of those more traditional strategies, we have kept the intention there, which is really to gather people together and give voice to a specific goal. And so currently we do that on TikTok, much in the same way as the Truth kind of quitting side of the house does paid media on TikTok. We do the same thing for activism. Usually those are paired with a petition or some kind of online tool where people can sign on to show their support. And then those folks hear from us going forward with other ways to get involved. We also reach decision makers by just straight up tagging them on social media wherever they are, depending on who we're trying to reach with a specific campaign. We may zero in on a specific platform that they are really active on, but that is the kind of background research that we get from more traditional organizing tools. And then we take that online, given what we know. like I mentioned, we use this to document all real-time events and in-person things that we do. And then there's this storytelling piece, which again, I think is a really big common thread across everything that we do organizationally. We have a really strong grasp on this digital storytelling piece of things and in how we get people to tell their stories in an authentic way online. So that is a big thing that we do. And rather than telling you, I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. So moving on to cover a current topic that we are working on very actively at this present moment in time. So we have been, along with many other partners, pushing for quite a while for the Biden administration to end the sale of menthol cigarettes. Menthol cigarettes are disproportionately marketed to and used by Black Americans and other communities of color. And so there is mounting evidence that it is really a good move for public health to end the sale of these products. And so we have been campaigning on this issue for quite some time. And just this past spring, we ran a really concentrated campaign that was inclusive of both in-person tactics as well as online, to just drive support from our base across the board about this issue. So if you press next, there are a few images that should pop up. Yes, great. So on the left, you see this is a collage that our internal creative team made that really hodgepodge together a bunch of ads over the years from the tobacco industry that, as you can see, if you look at these pretty closely, actually, you don't have to look that closely at all, of tobacco ads of the industry, specifically marketing menthol cigarettes to Black Americans. And we hodgepodge these together to show, like, yeah, the industry does a really good job of making this look cool, but how can we make it look cool for activism and bring people in and just want them to know what's going on and want them to get involved? And then on the right is actually a poster that we developed with kind of the twofold intention of this is something that people can share on social media to get people in the door, and then people can also print it out and share it on their campuses. And that white space on the bottom is meant to be customized by our activists. So we work with some folks that have their own recruitment tools in their own programs, or if people want to use this to promote a specific event, they can put that information in here. And this is a quote from the tobacco industry that has been highlighted time and time again that really just shows that their marketing of these products is very predatory toward communities of color. And so these are just a few tools that we have and just ways that we've used this kind of digital storytelling lane to shape this narrative. And then if you press the next one, something else should pop up. And this is our petition around this topic. So like I mentioned, this petition is attached to a lot of the paid media that we do on the activism side, particularly on TikTok these days. It also lives on our website. So we promote it through email. We send it to people in texts. And if somebody just stumbles upon our website, they can see it that way as well. And this is both a tool to measure support for a specific policy that we're asking for from decision makers, as well as getting people in the door to our system so that they can then get involved with our other programs. If you can move ahead, I think this is my last one. Okay, and then we're gonna play this video that kind of wraps it all up. I just want you to watch it, and then I'll say more about what it is at the end. Oh, I don't think we can hear it, Colby.
Y'all can't hear it?
Mm-mm.
All right, hold on.
Have folks who are Black and brown and LGBTQ plus deserve to not have a culture where tobacco is infused within it.
The tobacco industry, I think they're being so clever, understanding those different marketing tactics. If you don't know your history, you're prone to repeat it.
The tobacco industry were featuring Black people happy, excited.
They sponsored festivals. These are the ways that they get their hands into our communities,
Right.
targeting culture and used against us.
I took a position against menthol cigarettes. An emissary offered me $250,000 to change my position. Made me realize just how far people will go to exploit our community.
Billions of dollars off of Black and brown and LGBTQ plus and low income white and kids' lives.
We refuse to allow the menthol industry to rob us of our purpose and our potential.
Let's end the sale of menthol cigarettes today.
Sign the petition to show your support.
Okay, So this is a video that we worked with a bunch of our activists as well as adult experts in this topic area to create just this past spring. And the purpose of it was to showcase this intergenerational impact of menthol as we are shaping, again, the policy change narrative around this topic. And so this was put on TikTok as a paid ad. And also on some of our other channels. There is a longer form of this video that's a bit longer, and I didn't want to do that for this just because we're limited on time, but that lives on YouTube. But these are real people with personal stories, and not only personal stories about these products and the impacts on their lives, but also personal stories of activism around this topic. And so we just felt like capturing those conversations was really powerful. And then that was paired with our petition that you just saw online, and we've gotten quite a bit of support as well. So that is just one, I think, kind of in summation example of the ways that we're currently using online tools to do activism and then to reach decision makers to do the things we want them to do. And I believe with that, I will pass it over to Mattie.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be in community with you guys and to be on this call again. So thank you all who helped organize this call. I'm very grateful to be here. A little bit about me. I'm a native of Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a proud Louisiana girl, Southern Belle. I'm currently finishing my last semester of my master's program at Boston College. I study social work. And I completed my undergrad degree in social work and psychology at Dillon University in New Orleans, proud HBCU alumna. I've been working with Truth as an ambassador and trainer since 2022. And a little fun fact about me, I love to cook. I personally think I'm a chef. That's just me though. I'm a proud mom to 2 wonderful dogs. And I have 7 nieces and nephews, and they are quite literally my broke best friends. But that's okay. And also, I'm joined today by Reggie. So if y'all see her making a guest appearance, just ignore her. She's doing her own thing. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So I'll be talking with y'all a little bit today about a program that I hosted as a Truth Ambassador. It was my very first program, and I'll be talking about how I promoted it and how you navigated social media, as well as like flyer creation and talking with elected officials. So before I jump into the content of this slide, I'm going to ask that we click the link and I'll show y'all a video synopsis of my program.
All right, which link is this? The picture?
Yep.
All right, cool.
You might have to turn the sound on
So
at the
you got
bottom.
hit my DMs and was like, girl, what is the Black Billionaires Table and how can I get in? Now y'all know I was gonna come pick y'all up. The Black Billionaires Table is an event that exposes the way the big tobacco industry is destroying the health of Black and marginalized communities. The concept for the event was the notion that generational health is generational wealth. Taking care of our physical and mental health should be prioritized just as achieving the billionaire status. Both impact our loved ones for generations. Guests at the Black Billionaires Table participated in a screening of the film Black Lives, Black Lungs, an intimate discussion, catered dinner, and art therapy in the form of a paint and sip, mocktails, of course. Our guests left feeling educated, empowered, engaged. We featured a wall of affirmations where folks were able to add positive statements to fill the room with good vibes. Our billionaires answered questions that generated creative ideas in ways that they can combat big tobacco's hold on our community. We dressed to the nines and trust we had a good time. The event was for Black students at Emmanuel College, who are amongst the future leaders and billionaires of our generation. The money crew consisted of Emmanuel College residential assistants who strive to be change makers in their communities. Billionaires danced, won prizes, and even took home scholarship information. I mean, this is a billionaire event, of course. Want to see events like this or receive resources? Text my code MHTruth to 88709. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the event because we sure did. Thank you for coming, billionaire. And remember that generational health is generational wealth. See you later, billionaire.
All right. Thank you guys for watching that clip with me. It's always cringy to hear my own voice play back. So So things to consider when you are hosting an event or when you are trying to push something on social media. Social media is definitely tricky and it can definitely be intimidating. And I was working on that video for quite a while. I think some things that I've learned, especially from posting that video and just pushing my event, is that you have to understand what is your message. You want your message to be loud and clear. For this was that generational health is generational wealth. I want you to leave knowing that you can take control of your own health, that tobacco, the big tobacco industry is pushing these negative products into Black communities. And this is something that you can take control of because you are a Black millionaire. Think about what your end goal is. So what do you want people to take away from the event? What do you want people to leave? Or if you're not hosting an event, what do you want people to leave thinking about or feeling about once they see your content on social media? Something else that you can consider or you should consider are the best times that you should post on social media. Social media is essentially one just big, I'm forgetting the word. I'm obviously losing my train of thought. We're just gonna talk. Social media is different for everybody's platforms, right? And so you kind of have to learn the puzzle and learn how yours works. I will give you the cheat code. Change your profile to a content creator's profile and just look at your analytics. Your analytics will show you exactly what times are there peak times that you can post a day. My peak times are always in the evening time. I have a friend whose peak time is at 8 a.m. If I post at 8 a.m., I will get 2 likes. If I post at 8 p.m., I'll get over 100. So it's just about learning that. And it also shows you what days are the best days for you to post. Utilize multiple forms of media, right? So for this event, I posted a video reel on my story. I posted short clips leading up to the story. I made boomerangs on my actual story post on Instagram, like the story feature. I posted pictures on TikTok, on Facebook, and linked it back to my central platform, which I use as Instagram. We talked about monitoring your analytics and also make sure that you're creating engaging content, right? So you want to have a theme, okay? You want to have, I'm big on a theme. I'm big on a theme for my birthday. I'm big on a theme for content. I'm big on a theme for we just want to go to brunch. I love a theme. And people love a theme. You want people to be able to glance at your content and it be visually appealing, right? So I always say that I limit my color palette to about 3 or 4 colors, depending on how appealing it is to the eye. This one was really simple: white, green, black. Simple. You want to make sure that you're being as inclusive as possible. So since this was on social media, and some people might be hearing impaired, I went ahead and put closed captions on the video. This is something that you can also automatically do on different social media platforms, but just thinking about, okay, I'm posting this video. What does my following look like? You can see different demographic breakdowns. So most of my followers speak English, so I didn't need to put like captions in for that language, but you can also see that as well. Another thing that you can feel free to use emojis. Like feel free to make your content fun and engaging and post like current trends and relative and relatable emojis. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So when you're using your social media to push activism, there's a couple of things that you should keep in mind. You want to make sure that you are posting on high visibility days if possible. What do I mean by this? So a lot of times, like we'll notice that, for example, April is the month where we focus on stress awareness. Today is National Youth HIV and AIDS Prevention Day, right? So if I'm posting something related to HIV, I'm making sure I'm using that hashtag. Bam. That automatically makes way, way, way more people see it, and you're just pushing it to the algorithm. By the way, algorithm was the word I was searching for like earlier in the call. So you're pushing it into your algorithm. If there's no high visibility day that has like a hashtag, maybe you're like posting on May 9th and the next high visibility day is October 10th, that is perfectly okay. And that's why looking at your analytics matters so you can see the best times where you can post. Invite others to share your post. Do not be scared. Once you post, send the link to your friends. Send the link if you're working with an organization such as Aspen Institute. Send the link to the group chat. Send the link to the group meet. Also, if you follow organizations who you know will support your content on the page, feel free to DM that post directly to this and say, hey, I'm an activist supporting this, or I'm working on this project, and I would love if your organization could share. And 9 times out of 10, they'll post it directly to their story, or they may like it. The more people that engage with the post, the more people that see, because it will pull them into their networks as well. Also, make sure that you include call to action on the post. So a call to action can be anything like you saw in the video, where I'm asking people to text my code. A call to action could be you linking an article and asking people to check out the article, signing a petition, signing up for your event. But you're getting people's attention, right? So you might as well ask them to do something for you so that you can make sure that you're pushing your content out. Take pictures in front of monuments and other landmarks. So as you can see in this picture, this was Moment of Action for last year, which was the Follow Flavors truck that Caroline showed y'all earlier. So we are on Capitol Hill. Let's make sure we're getting the hill right there in the background so that people know where we're at, right? So when I posted this on my social media, it automatically got way more likes and way more engagement because people were like, wait, you look official. What did you go see today? And I was like, I'm at the hill, y'all. Guess what I'm doing, right? Also language matters. So if you don't mind clicking the post for me, please. So this is the follow-up that I posted on my LinkedIn page, right? So it was something that was short and it was something that was sweet, but I definitely got to the point. So I told people where we were at. I told people what we were doing. I was with Truth. We were in DC for Moment of Action. And here's what we did. We met with decision makers on the Hill, and with other youth in DC, and we met with the Department of Health and Human Services. I went ahead and tagged them, and that brought in way more people who work in public health who may follow this page. What do? We urge the FDA to strip flavored tobacco products from the market. You want to make sure that people leave knowing exactly what it is that you did or that you want them to do. And my call to action was to have people click the link to read more and join the movement. And then, of course, I posted my pictures from the event in front of the Hill, listening to different elected officials speak, as well as just a couple of selfies with my other fellow activists. Awesome. We can go on to the next slide. So, the do's of flyer creation and engagement. Flyer creation is something that can be very challenging, and it's something that I was struggling with when I was in undergrad. If I showed y'all what my very first flyer looks like, you'll be like, who did you expect to come to that event? Y'all, I was young. We've definitely grown. So here's some things that I learned along the way. I learned that you want to, like I said earlier, use engaging colors and images. So when people look at your flyer, you want them to know exactly what type of event it is. In the background of this flyer, I wanted people to kind of get like a classy feel, know that we're coming to dinner. And so I had like a picture of a dinner set in the background. And that also kind of gives people an idea of how they should show up to your event, right? Make sure that you have all key details on your event. You always want to have the event title. What is the event? Black Billionaires Table, dinner, and art therapy. You want to have when it's being hosted, so the date, the time, and the location. People should be able to take a picture of your flyer and honestly have all the information that they need. You want to make sure that you're being mindful of size and legibility and have the bigger things that maybe like grasp people's attention a little bit bigger on the flyer. So for this, I wanted people to see that word billionaire and see that word dinner and art therapy, because I hosted my event for college students, and everybody knows college students will come out to event with free food. And my college students love a free arts and crafts event. And so I wanted to make sure I had that huge on the flyer. Do not work smarter, not harder. Do not make this harder on yourself. There are like a gazillion templates on Canva. Pick one of those templates and customize it. You can change the colors. You can add images. You can change the text size. You can change the text font. But I think a lot of the times people get really frustrated, and myself included, when you're trying to like kind of create something from scratch, when the proportions are off, it's not working, all of a sudden your computer refreshed, like just use a template and then customize it because you can do a lot. Also, you want to make sure that if you are posting the event on the flyer, like on your social media page, have other people post it too, right? So send it directly to your friends. And if you're working with a team of people, so one of the ways I pushed this event is I had the money crew, which was consisted of the team of RAs. I had all of them post this flyer to their social media page on the exact same day and the exact same time. Something that I realized definitely helped was sending people a copy of a couple of captions that they could choose from, so that all they have to do is copy and paste. I created the short caption, I added my emojis, and I knew what was going out, and I knew what people were posting, and people were more likely to post it to their social media pages in the middle of a busy day because they already had the information readily available. Create a hashtag for your event, or create a hashtag for whatever it is that you're hosting. That way you can see how people are kind of engaging with it. You can encourage other people to engage with it, and it also just generates more visibility. Ask organizations to repost. We touched a little bit on this earlier. Send that flyer directly to somebody. I blew up every group chat I was in for truth, and I was in about 6. And all of them got this flyer multiple times a day. And if you have something like a QR code, you want to make sure that you have that on the flyer as well. And I think that about covers it. Oh, and very last thing, make sure that you always have somebody give you feedback. So like, hey, if I showed you this, do you like this? Would you have somebody attend this event? What do you think? Feedback is great because this flyer had like 10 copies, and I thought I was a shoo-in on the first copy, and my director was like, maybe let's do a little bit more. Let's tweak this, or let's tweak this. So let's make sure you always get that feedback. Okay, we go on to the last slide. Oh, well, the next slide. So these are other example flyers from my fellow activists at Truth, who hosted amazing events with amazing flyers. And so I'll let you guys check these out. But they posted these around their schools and did similar promotion methods that I did. And they had lots of great feedback and a huge turnout. Okay, we can go to the next. Okay, engaging with elected officials. Last but certainly not least. When you're engaging with elected officials, people who are voting on different policies, people who shape practices, and create rules and legislation, it can definitely be intimidating. My advice to you is to remember that these are people that you helped elect into office, and if you're not old enough to vote yet, these are people that your family members helped to elect to vote to office. And so they need to hear from you, especially if you are their constituent, which means you are in the area or the population of people that voted for them. So here are a few tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. I've been doing policy advocacy since I was maybe like 19 years old. And I'm turning 24 this year. So I have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. You want to do your research. You can always do a quick search on their biography on Google. And this will tell you a little bit about like who they are, and their values. And honestly, if you really get nervous, it just gives you something to follow back on to kind of create a little bit more of a personal connection. You always want to search up current news surrounding your topic, or even news about things that the elected official has done or is currently doing, and see if you can tie that to your advocacy. And also look for trends as well. That kind of goes directly with the news trends, and as well as trends that people within the population that you're advocating for are currently seeing and currently doing. I think using your lived experience is always powerful, and it's more powerful when you can connect that lived experience with the lived experience of thousands of other people, because we always all have a lot more in common than we think that we do. Tie the issue to the community. We just touched on that a little bit. And then you want to make sure that you're backing up your lived experience with hard facts. So in this picture, I was actually speaking and advocating with Congressman Troy Carter, who is a congressman for Louisiana, in the district that New Orleans is located. And that is a Louisiana girl, and that's also the district that I went to school in. So in this picture, I was able to talk to him about how I saw tobacco impacting college students, and then I was also be able to tag along facts of tobacco being one of the lead causes of preventable death in Black communities, right? So when people hear that, they're like, oh, wait, that was a fact. And you'll always see, if not them, their staff person write down those hard facts, right? So this kind of is like the proof to the pudding. So your lived experience is a very powerful, the most powerful tool that you can use. But when you're tying it to that hard fact, it's like you absolutely cannot ignore this, because guess what? And when you're choosing your facts, pro tip, choose like a couple. Choose a couple of facts and stick to those. You do not have to memorize the entire fact book. Every time I do policy advocacy, I just came back from DC with Truth. I chose 2 facts, and I wrapped my entire story around those 2 facts, and I still had a very powerful story to communicate. Include a call to action at the end. So what are you doing? When I finish this conversation with Congressman Troy Carter, we asked him for his support to urge the FDA to strike flavored tobacco products off the market, right? And then make sure that you're using the right language. So sometimes people can get confused, myself included, with the language, especially when it comes to policy language. Policy language is created to honestly confuse people when they are first glancing at it. And so you always want to kind of like dissect it and make sure that we're saying the right thing, right? And then last but certainly not least, run script with your friend or with a trusted person to give you feedback. You don't have to tell your entire life story within 2 minutes. Pick a certain moment within a certain time, and then make that the most powerful time you've ever told the story. It's definitely something that can be intimidating, but it's something that you're all equipped to do. And just because you haven't done it yet, or if maybe you have done it yet, and this is a refresher, doesn't mean that you are not equipped to do it, and that you're always the author of your own story. And that means you are a perfectionist at your own story. So thank you all for listening to me chat. It always feels weird on Zoom because I feel like I'm just like talking and I just hear myself back. But I hope you guys learned a lot, and I will pass the mic.
Thanks, Mattie. I think that's all we've got. So I will pass it back to the OFIS team. I know we're low on time for questions, but however you all want to handle it.
Yeah, thanks, Colby. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Mattie. Thank you all for laying out the foundation for the students' exploration into social media as a tool for activism. We'll be posting this recording into the Slack channels for all of you to rewatch again and again, because it's so chock full of really useful information. This could be even like a toolkit for you to see how much impact you all can have, or what impact you can make using short communication methods, while also getting all of your points across. Just as another side note, make sure to record, take pictures, take videos of anything that you're hosting in real life, in-person events, and be sure to record the interviews you're hosting via Zoom as well. All of this will be useful, not just for yourself in the future, but for us in terms of your final presentations and how you will share all of the progress you've made this academic year. So since we're out of time, we're going to ask the Truth Initiative to respond to the questions via email. We're going to try and add just 5 more minutes if you all can hold on. We'll start with Ishan's question. Ishan, if you would like to unmute and ask your question from the chat, and we'll have this just for another 5 minutes. And whatever questions we won't be able to get to, we'll just send to our speakers via email.
So do you think the federally funded anti-smoking ads in the 2010s had a real impact on reducing nicotine use, or do you think that smoking was just replaced by vaping, as vaping is marketed as safer?
Great question. I can take a stab at it, and then if others want to hop in, please do so. I think the question you're asking, there are kind of two answers, and it's kind of two questions. So I think, yes, the federally funded anti-smoking campaigns that you're referring to, which I think we're talking about, like the FDA Real Cost and tips from former smokers, those kinds of things, those have been shown to be effective, but those were definitely introduced in kind of the heyday of cigarette smoking, and I think have done, if I'm not mistaken, have not quite been as effective for vaping. And then at the same time, as we mentioned, the tobacco industry has been extremely creative and extremely well funded in how they've marketed new tobacco products as cigarettes have become less popular. So I think both things can be true, and I think both things are true. But that's, I would say, what I would say to that. I don't know, Colby, if you have any other insight you want to add on that.
No, I feel like you hit the nail right on the head with that.
Mattie.
All right, then I think we have time for one more question. We'll move on to Edwards. Edward is an ambassador in our program as well. He's been a mentor last year. If you'd like to unmute and ask your question.
I had two questions. I'm not sure if I could go. There were some other really great questions in the chat.
You can ask the first one if you'd like.
Cool. So, well, first off, like, thanks to all of you for just speaking with us today. My first question was just, why do you think vapes exploded in popularity, given the harmful effects that people already knew about smoking and the way that vapes were marketed as sort of being quote unquote safer when they actually aren't? And then I guess sort of like, why wasn't more done to just prevent or stop that?
I can speak to the first part. I personally, just from my experience, I think vapes just exploded in popularity just because of how convenient it is. And it's easy to be discreet. A lot of people use them when they're in a place where they can't smoke a cigarette or can't like really consume nicotine like that. So it's just a very discreet way to do it on the low. It's very easy to do. It's easy to obtain. And a lot of people have been using it. A lot of young people use it in their social circles, and I feel like that's really what made it explode in popularity. Other people just seeing how accessible that they are, easy to get, and they're just really easy and convenient to use. That's what I would say.
Yeah, agree. And I would just add, and I think this answers kind of both of your questions, is unfortunately when e-cigarettes first started to explode, and you could argue that there still isn't sufficient regulation for this, but there were major loopholes and gaps in the laws that regulate tobacco products, that frankly we're still pushing up against currently. And so that I think is what really allowed those products not only to be on the market in the first place, but to continue to be unregulated for so long. And I think to your point about like, why wasn't more done to prevent it or to slow it? I love that question. And I think the unfortunate answer is that a lot was done, but the tobacco industry had a lot of funding and resources and power already built up on their side from a political standpoint, that they were able to intercept a lot of that and continue to do so. And they also, to your point around like, we knew that cigarettes weren't safe. Unfortunately, because of the way that like public health research lags behind, there wasn't, and frankly, there still is a lot we don't know about the long-term health effects of e-cigarettes, and that we don't have that information in the same way we have it for regular cigarettes. So the industry really preyed upon that as a way to say, look, these are safer, when in reality, safer just means that we don't know that they are quite as bad as regular cigarettes. So it's a lot of twisting around the messaging on the industry's part, but yeah, it was a product of a really just unfortunately set up policy landscape that allowed this to continue.
Got it. Thanks, Colby. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
And thanks again. So I think that last question as well is just so great in terms of helping us make those connections of, these systemic issues, right? That this isn't just something that is affecting us in our daily lives and our personal lives, but it's also a large infrastructural issue as well that has a lot of backing and momentum. So beyond just talking about how relevant this discussion is to our students at the moment, I just want to appreciate you all and thank you for your time. Mentors and mentees, ambassadors, we'll stay on for a few more minutes if anybody has questions to share a little bit of the updates. But yeah, if we could just get a quick round of applause to Mattie, Caroline, and Colby. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
So we're grateful to Colby Nelson, Caroline Bennett, Mattie Harris, our friends from the Truth Initiative, for spending this evening with us and providing a toolkit for how to use social media as a tool for activism. So to our audience, please extend your appreciation to our speakers in the chat, and thank you all for attending this community talk. Please visit our website, ourfutureisscience.org, and follow us on social media to learn more about our initiative, future events, and our educational campaigns. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone, I'm going to add the mid-program review into the chat. For anyone who has not submitted a mid-program review, please remember today is the deadline. So we'll be sending out reminders pretty soon for those who aren't able to complete this in time. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. If you haven't done so already, these metrics will really, really help us in terms of what adaptations or transitions we can make as a staff to make sure the next few weeks and months move smoothly for you all. We understand there's a lot going on, midterms, APs, exams, defenses. So we want to try and be as helpful as we can in the next few moments. So yeah, thank you all for coming. This is just an extra bit of time for those of you who may need some extra support or questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask us. The big updates we have, other than the mid-program review, is that the mentorship team meeting starting on Sunday will have OFIS staff present. So for the mentors specifically, please make sure to show up 15 minutes in advance. We'll be there to answer some questions and offer some guidance. And then we'll just be observing for most of that meeting. We won't really take an active role. But yeah, besides those updates, are there any questions for us?